Welcome back everyone to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got this lovely stamp for you. It's a scene with using the Beautiful You stamp set along with the lovely As a Tree stamp set. And I've also coloured the lady's dress and hair in the new blends markers from Stampin' Up. And for those of you that find hard, like I did, I could never get a knack of using Copic markers. These are just so easy to use and I would highly recommend them. So let's get started. One thing is, today is just going to be the first video. I'm going to show you, we're going to stamp the lady, the mirror image and the trees and the inside of the card, and then the next video we'll do all the colouring, because otherwise it would be an extra long tutorial, which I'm sure you don't want. Now, to start with my base card, it measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 of an inch, and then scored at 4 1/8. So it just gives you a little bit bigger of a card for this style of scene. So we'll just set that aside. And then I'm going to need 2 Early Espresso. You just have what other colour scheme you like. These both measured 3 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/2 of an inch. And one of those is for the inside of the card, if you're wondering why I've got 2. And then I've got 2 pieces of shimmery white, because when you do the sponging it's a lot easier using the shimmery white, and they both measure 5 3/8 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and I'll be also using the Eclipse masking tape. That is what I stamped the girl on and cut it out. So just so you know, I got that off eBay, but if you're in America, USA, this is where this comes from. So I can't get it in Australia. I have to get it from America. So if you're over there, and it's lasts quite a long time. And then we just need a little piece of acetate to stamp the girl on so we can make a mirror image. Now, to start with, we'll just bring in the MISTI, and beforehand I just stamped, just to save a little bit of time, the girl, but I'll just show you. So she's positioned pretty much centre for me, and so I've got enough room down here for the mirror image. I just do a pencil mark at the 2-inch mark there and 2-inch mark there, so that when I bring her across, she's sitting like pretty much center. Okay, and it gives me enough room for the water at the bottom as well as the sky at the top. So once you've done that, we take that off, and then we're going to bring a piece of acetate in. Just place that there, and I'll just make sure it's going to go fully onto the acetate for me. So I use VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I used to use StazOn, and it just seemed to really mark my stamps permanently, and I didn't like it. So a friend of mine put me onto the VersaFine little cubes, and they're just fabulous to use, especially when you're using the MISTI. So I like to stamp that down twice so that I'm going to get a really nice mirror image. So we're just going to bring it across one more time. Just give it a really good press. It shouldn't move if you've got the MISTI corners on there. And then I just slide that up. Now what we're going to do with the acetate, we're picking it up and just turning it over like that. bring in our piece of shimmery white. Just pop that on so it's level on one of the lines, any lines, and try not to put, now that foot there, I have to try and line it up with the foot that's down there. Okay. Now we've got to try and just press down but not move the acetate, otherwise you'll end up with a smudged image. And that's why, like, a lot of people rub it, and I try not to do that, because if I do that it's going to end up smudged. Another way you can do it, if you've got a heavy brayer, like one of the old Stampin' Up brayers, they're really good to roll over it, as long as you're not going to move it. Now we can just pick it up a little bit. That looks pretty good, so I'm just going to lift that right off, and that's our mirror image. That's how easy it is. And if you want to keep your acetate, you can remove that with stamp cleaner. Okay, so that's that part done. So we'll just move, I'll clean the stamp up later. Just rub that off. And then we're just going to remove, just with the rubber on the end of the pencil, those guidelines that I said that I had in there. But you can see how easy it is to do the mirror image part. The part that takes so much time is the sponging, and I've got a couple of tricks to in the large areas, mainly the water and the sky. Okay, so then what I did was, as I showed you earlier, the Eclipse masking tape, I cut a piece off of there. You can use sticky notes, but the good thing about the Eclipse masking tape is it's sticky all over the back. So you just stamp it, you cut your piece off how big you want it, then you stamp your image on to the masking tape and cut it out. And it didn't take me very long. And then now I'm going to mask the lady the best I can. So that's pretty well. So now I'm going to rub down, so all the sticky, you want it really down. So that's where I really wouldn't like to do this technique with sticky notes, because I think it would, you wouldn't get as, you know, the little hands are so fine that but I'm sure that you could do it if you really wanted to. So I'll just stick that down. So that's masked there now. So now we want to just stamp our trees. Because she's masked, okay, so then we're just going to grab the Lovely as a Tree stamp set, which is this one, and we're going to be using this stamp set here, the row of trees, and just going to pop it right over the top of the lady, because remember she's masked. I'm going to be doing that in Onyx Black as well. But what I like to do is just do a quick stamp just to make sure that I have got my stamp on straight. I know that some people have said to me, isn't that what the grid lines are for? And it is, but it's just one thing that I like to do. So now we're going to stamp up our trees and we're going to stamp it over. Now you have to have a really firm stamping when you put it down. It has to be very firm, because you will see that I have to do it 2 or 3 times because it's going over the Eclipse masking tape as well, and sometimes some spots will miss. Now I'll just put an extra magnet just there. So then I just press as hard as I can just all over it, and especially in the center here, because that's where the lady is, and you're pushing the stamp down over the masking tape. So you can see here in that tree there that it always seems to be in the same spot, is that tree just missed a bit. So sometimes you need to just stand up and put your whole weight over it. See, so we've got that this time. And there's just that one right in the center there. It's only a little bit, and once you've sponged it you won't really see. So we'll just give it a good press. Okay, so you leave the mask on. You don't take that mask off at all. So then we're going to set that aside, because that now, and I know I've got a little bit of ink on there, but once we've sponged all the colours on, it won't matter. So that now is ready for us to start sponging. So I'm going to set that aside and we'll come back to that in the next video. Okay, so then what I want to do is just stamp the inside of the card, and that's what this other piece of shimmery white was for. You could use white if you want, but I do like to use the shimmery white. So I'm just going to wipe most of that off of the tree, because I'm just going to have to hope that when I put it down that it's going to be straight. We just want just put that magnet up there. Now, I haven't inked it up yet, that's just what was left on it. So we'll just ink up these last couple of leaves, trees I should say. And that's going to be for the inside of our card. And I just think it's a nice touch having that on the inside of our card. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe that off with my chamois before it dries permanently, and move that out of the way. And we've finished with our ink pad. So then we're going to use one of the early espressos, and we're just going to adhere that onto that piece of paper there. So I'll just grab, sorry, just to protect my surface, just grab that, and I'm just going to use the multi-purpose liquid glue. And we're just going to center that. It just gives it a really nice border of the early espresso. You could just put the white in the card if you wanted to, but I just like that nice border that you get. Just run your finger down. Hopefully it's not going to ink out everywhere, so just rub that. So this is just going to be like half the card done, and then in another couple of days I will have the second tutorial for you. So we're just going to pop that inside the card. I try and put my fingers where there's no glue. And the good thing with the multi-purpose, I've told you a million times most probably, is that if you don't get it perfectly straight, it does give you that time to move it. I'm quite happy with how that's gone down. And then I just like to close it and give it a So all ready for our next tutorial. We've done our base card and we've done the inside of the card, and then in the next tutorial we're going to sponge it. We're going to do all the sponging, and we're going to do the colouring of the lady's dress and hat in the new blends markers from Stampin' Up. So that's where we're at today. So please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss part 2 of this video. And until next time, happy crafting.